If you really want to do that, watch out for buck knocking towards the here. But you do that. Check out. Fire! I still burn on the government. If they ain't changed, man, my people ain't loving it. Fire! In this revelation time, fire still blazing hot. Rebellion, they call it riot. Well, it's fire. I still blaze on the government. Nothing's changed, man, my people ain't loving it. Fire! In this revelation time, fire still burning hot. Rebellion, they call it riot. And yo, when I say fire, you say burn down. Fire, fire. When I say burn down, you say Wall Street burn down. Wall Street burn down. Wall Street. I say the jail.
One of the specific ways that Oakland's a colonial city is that the developer pattern, the developer model for this city is the same sort of model they use in third world countries, the developing world, so-called. So they come in and build these huge office towers downtown, and they use city money, they use corrupt local government to expropriate public resources to build private corporate headquarters like Wells Fargo, Clorox. They put massive federal buildings and bureaucracies into place and act like they're developing the community. The community is sitting in starving in poverty. The community isn't getting the benefits of these alleged investments.
Given Oakland's history and Oakland's politics, that our Occupy movement is probably more working class than the Occupy movements in most cities around the country, and is also more diverse racially and ethnically. And that's in part because that's what Oakland is. Issues with the Oakland police have been ongoing at least since the 1950s. And Oakland had a reputation as a type of police department that recruited in the South and hired a lot of white people who did not have progressive attitudes towards African Americans and other people of color. And of course that gave rise to the creation of the Black Panther Party in 1966, which was created largely in response to the abuses of the Oakland Police Department. And the Black Panthers and other community organizations pushed back against the police and against the white Republican power structure that had run Oakland literally for all of the 1900s.
He's in Texas, and they already scheduled him for a year to be deployed into Afghanistan. When he left to Iraq, I tried to commit suicide because I lost my house, I lost my job, I lost my son. I know I couldn't breathe. It's a moment without thinking about my son. And I'm a single mother. Now I have an 11-year-old son.
Mic check! Mic check! The police are here, lined up, moving in on the camp now. Told you.
Hey, everyone stay here. It's fine. We're not going to be moving. We're here in the face of the police. We're not going to be moving.
Here you go.
We're not going anywhere. All the vets are staying here. Please stay here with us. We have more people speaking.
I'm an African immigrant. I fought 11 years to get my citizenship. I fought very hard against all odds. I was a victim of domestic violence. I survived, and I will survive this and everything else. Together with my son, and we have hope, and we're going to stay strong, and we're going to remain here. Thank you.
We're going to have a couple more speakers.
I'm going to introduce you to Joe.
My name is Leo Ritz-Barr. I'm on the events committee of Occupy Oakland. Yesterday, a tragedy occurred on the side of the plaza over there. We were trying to, what was planned was having our birthday party, 1 month birthday for Occupy Oakland. Obviously, those plans were changed. I found it despicable that the City Council President, Larry Reed, and the police chief came by and tried to have an impromptu conference to say that this is one more reason why the camp needs to go. Right now, there is a rally and a march against police brutality with members of the Iraq Veterans Against the War, protesting the fact that 2 veterans have come back after serving multiple tours in Iraq only to be brutalized at home. I think this is emblematic of the militarization of the police. They more resemble a paramilitary squad in a third world country than they actually a police force that is meant to protect and serve.
I'm going to have our friends hand out these posters of Scott Olson. Mic check.
Revolutions happen when police and military join the people. I want you folks to remember that. Regime change starts at home. Thank you.
Oakland is a real radical city in the first place. We're well known for dealing with, police brutality. We're known for standing up against police brutality. As in the case against Oscar Grant, I also, did rallying with that as well. Before the Occupy movement.
My name is Joe. I'm a member of the Occupation movement. And I was one of the people that set in motion Occupy LA from the beginning. And I saw it grow from 20 people at the first GA to a sea of tents surrounding City Hall. Unfortunately, I felt that it became stagnant in Los Angeles, the movement did, and it was popping in Oakland. So I came up here, and my first day up here was the day of the port shutdown, the general strike, and I just fell in love, not only with the movement up here, but the city of Oakland, and I decided to just move up here. So not a lot of certainty, moved into a tent at Occupy Oakland, and then the raids happened, and now you're in Oakland without a home, and but the people here have been very accommodating and very generous in their help of out-of-town occupiers, and so I'm here for the long haul. I think that where it's going now with the whole squat thing, essentially what they've done with this crackdown on the actual occupation is they've just split it up into smaller cells, and so those cells are all around the city. As you can see, we have activities all day today. The movement's still going on. It's just there's no occupation in Oakland anymore.
The immediate presence of the encampment in front of City Hall transformed the spatial geography of downtown Oakland instantly, with an entire new matrix of peoples and services and interactions and social structures being experimented with in front of everyone all the time, 24 hours a day, literally. So there were people there all night, there were people there all day, there were meetings on and off all day. So you had this intensity of practice in small 2 to 3 block area, which was then gradually filtering out and taking over different restaurants and cafes. And so you can see this organism sort of starting to swell up and fill into the crevices of the unoccupied space.
Hello. Who are we calling? Hi, everybody. Oscar Grant actually got me politically activated, you know what I mean? I knew about different things. I did protests when they killed Stanley Tookie Williams, but when they killed Oscar Grant, it was deliberate, it was on TV. I was upset. The whole world was upset. And you know, one thing, that it wasn't really organized, that for some reason, all of the people came right here to this place. to show their frustration against what was going on, against police repression and capitalism in our communities. And so that's why we named this the Oscar Grant Plaza when we came back, because the plaza became our meeting place for when shit happened in our neighborhoods.
Cultivando semillas de resistencia es lo que hacemos en Prensa Pobre y levantamos el alma más fuerte que es el amor a nuestra gente. Cultivating seeds of resistance is what we do at Port Magazine, and we pick the biggest weapon, which is a love for our gente, our people.
This went from October 10th to October 25th, 2 full weeks, where this plaza was a celebration of life. I work in this neighborhood. It was beautiful. People putting up childcare tents, people putting up libraries, people who never talked to each other, people who, if you passed on the street the day before, would have just made sure not to make eye contact. Sitting on the same bench together, sharing the same food together, discussing the conditions of our city.
The Oakland Commune was pretty amazing to me in terms, I mean, you know, it was amazing. It was this amazing experiment in protest as well as dealing with problems that were plaguing our city. You know, so militant. There was no permits asked for. There were no permits paid for. No one asked for permission to be there. We just took it over, and basically dealt the, you know, I think an impact that people didn't realize it was going to happen was that there was a huge population that already lived in Franco Gala Plaza, Oscar Grant Plaza, that were homeless. It was vets, it was homeless families, it was people with mental illness, it was people who would just, you know, Franco Gala Plaza has been used as a place for people who just get out of San Quentin or Santa Rita or any of the penitentiaries out here. When people come back to Oakland, if they don't have anywhere else to go, they show up at Franco Gala Plaza. So there was a huge population of recently incarcerated young people who were living there. So by having the encampment there, not only was it like a place where it was central and neutral for Oakland, we also were able to take care of the population that City Hall ignored for decades that lived there. And were not thriving there. And so people had health care 24 hours a day, people had food 24 hours a day, there was clothing 24 hours a day, there was community there was safety. And so what you started seeing were homeless people from all over Oakland were coming to Franco Gala Plaza because it was safer to stay there than it was to stay under a bridge. It was safer to stay there than try to fend for yourself at a homeless shelter, because homeless shelters are not safe places a lot of times, you know? So I was amazed by there was a little society that was emerging, a utopia that was built on compassion and the redistribution of wealth. Because what was happening were people from all walks of life who had enough or who had more than enough were coming by and giving to the commune to take care of the people who didn't have anything. You know, like I am a big, you know, I understand the concept of reparations, you know, and I feel like that was a moment of reparations. That was a straight moment of reparations.
This occupation is very Oakland specific too. It really brings out everything that's going on. Like everybody says that there's a mixed message, you know, there's no one clear message. But in reality, the clear message is each community has its own problems, and our government can't be giving us a blanket solution for all these various problems that change from place to place. So here, especially police brutality, there he is. Those cops, man, they're down here every day. It's bad. They kill people, you know, and we go to jail for yelling at them, you know, throw tear gas at people for camping. But that's what it's come to, you know, here we are, and we're all going to be living like this intense if the banks have their way.
El gobierno tiene una responsabilidad en la crisis que estamos enfrentando. Ellos no pusieron el dinero, no invirtieron el dinero en vivienda económica, no desarrollaron vivienda económica y vivienda pública. Y eso hizo que nuestras comunidades estuvieran a riesgo de préstamos que eran muy arriesgosos, nunca nos los hubieran haber dado. Lo que vemos es que no es una coincidencia donde los préstamos arriesgosos y los embargos están pasando. Vemos que la concentración aquí en Oakland son en 3 códigos postales. La mayoría de las personas que viven en esos códigos postales son personas latinas, personas afroamericanas, personas que inglés no es su primer lenguaje, y muchas personas ancianas y de tercera edad.
The Calvin Simmons Theater building has been empty for years, and it should be accessible to people who need it. maybe like for the homeless or other events, but this is just a waste of city money. And it costs them all that money to use it. So this building should be used. I mean, really, for homeless people or whatever, something.
The movement moved from Oscar Grant Plaza. It was evicted there once, then it was evicted a second time. They tried to take the park at 19th and Telegraph. They were evicted again. Then they spread out into the community, started taking vacant lots and foreclosed homes. And after a couple of months, attempted to take this major piece of real estate, the Oakland Civic Auditorium, which had been abandoned by the city 6 years previously. This site, which you might see, debris and construction materials laying around here, it's not under reconstruction. It's just been simply abandoned for 6 years. So it's a civic treasure that's been left vacant. The Occupy protesters tried to put it back to good use. 4,000 seat theater downstairs and 1,000 seats upstairs. They had brought in police from all around the Bay Area again, so they came in and spent another $500,000 chasing the protesters around, penned them in, and the police arrested people, about 300 or 400 people. The manufacturing of consent has been the methodology of governance in the United States. So there's been a tremendous use of propaganda, brainwashing, mainstream media, popular diversions to keep people in line. As the ability of the corporations and the state to manipulate people through that is falling down, as the financial system reaches a crisis, they're having to resort to many of the tools that they've always used in the imperial periphery, which is militarization and direct use of force, and beating people back down when they don't follow orders. There's 2 million people in prison in the United States. That's an incredible number of people. The use of the police and the use of the Homeland Security cover to militarize local police forces has proceeded rapidly apace. 20% of the economic output is going into this militarization internally. In the long run, it's a fatal error for the empire. The U.S. is militarizing itself and imprisoning its own people at such a rate that it's losing its legitimacy, and then it will have to increase its violence to maintain its legitimacy. And this negative cycle, could proceed to a terminal phase. It hasn't, I don't think, reached a terminal phase objectively at this point, but the trends are not looking good. You got a combustible mixture here of people taking care of each other, making food, providing shelter. Tents were flowing in so fast that we couldn't put up enough tents. So, therefore, a homeless person would show up and they needed somewhere to sleep. They'd put up their tent for one night, but the next night they could take that tent and camp anywhere. They now had a home. This was, people whose life conditions were improved because they were in an encampment in a muddy, wet, damp city plaza. Your life conditions, you now had better food and better housing because a bunch of people decided to take care of each other. That's very threatening.
we're out here and you see the antics of different police departments. I mean, they come in here and they ramshack this peaceful group, you know, hanging out, you know, doing what we were doing. And they, what time is it, like 5:17? What they arrested, like maybe like 35 people, you know, no resistance was given. So we'll see the outcome, you know. Mayor, I'm actually homeless, you know, and you know this was some place where everybody come together, you know, and we actually feel like someone, you know. It's like they give to the rich and take from the poor. Look at all this force, and how much money you think they're paying for this? But what do they do for the homeless? Did anybody come from the city to donate anything while we were in there? You know, no one. We had other businesses, surrounding businesses that came to contribute, but nobody, no one from the city, not a soul. But this is what we get from the city. So.
Mike Porter. All of one is the best for him. I'm the people, the 99 fucking percent. That's my fucking name. No peace, no justice, no peace.
And even so, the protesters didn't want to lose their space, didn't want to lose their ability. So there was a beautiful act Saturday, I think that was the 19th of November, where the teachers union called for a joint demonstration with the Occupy force.
Preguntar a ellos qué querían en las comunidades en Oakland. Ellos dijeron que querían más dinero para las escuelas y para las bibliotecas. El dinero no hay mucho dinero en el estado de California y por eso las escuelas no tienen mucho dinero y por eso hay 5 escuelas en la comunidad que están shutting down y ahora cerrando. Y ahora ellos van a ir a otras escuelas con mucha gente y no hay suficientes profesores, no hay suficientes cosas para ellos para hacer. Ellos no pueden ir en vacaciones con la escuela. La comida en las escuelas son horribles. Todo es horrible. Y ahora trabajo en Oakland con los estudiantes. Soy profesora del jardín y estoy tratando de mostrar a ellos que podemos sembrar, cosechar juntos para crear una comunidad más saludable para todos.
Country is in an incredible economic crisis. The statistics come out every week. Now we hear that half the people in the country are either poor or low income. A third of the children live in poverty. We have millions of people kicked out of their houses. We have millions more who are unemployed. It's a real crisis. And after 6 years, this movement is starting to protest it, which is a great thing. And we should all just go out and embrace them and see what we can do to help, because it's very important. And because, you know, especially in Oakland, right, the Occupy movement speaks for Oakland, because Oakland is the city that is full of the 99%. people in Oakland who supported the movement, and even people who didn't really have much connection to the Occupy movement, came out that afternoon, came out that evening.
And they took over this park, which is right in the middle of this uptown development next to the Fox Theater and sort of the entertainment district that they want to create down there. A beautiful little park, and they set up another beautiful encampment, had a party, lovely songs. And then the next morning, when the police did come the next day, the demonstrators and the occupiers had kind of come to the political conclusion that this occupation took the course of retreat and left without any arrests and brought their tents with them to stay for another day.
I think the Occupy movement is now, in a historical context, at the very later end of a much larger movement that's been growing for decades, which is this movement against capitalism, this movement against austerity, against imperialism, against colonization, and the domination of the global South by Western cultural as well as economic imperialism. That now being grounded in Oakland is gaining sort of that consciousness, and those same realities that manifest themselves globally manifest themselves locally in very similar ways.
And the general strike happened November 2nd, and it was extremely successful, and it indicated, I think, to the powers that be that this was a movement to be feared. That this was a movement that wasn't simply going to just stop with their ability to encamp themselves in a small square of grass in front of a city hall and then beg for help. That this was a movement that was going to express its intrinsic power as a people by refusing and withdrawing its consent and participating in mass disobedience. And so that in every city there was a move to break the back of this movement by removing one of its important ingredients. And I don't think we should dismiss the difficulty that we're facing today, because when we had a public space in which we engaged in conversation, we saw people face to face and knew who our human other was, and knew personally and really that we had something deep in common, that our humanity was at stake in this process. Our relationship to a lot of different aspects of our lives is at stake. And by giving food and sharing shelter and giving compassion and giving knowledge and sharing skills and sharing resources. So there was a possibility there that you would have a counterpole to the social norm, and that's what couldn't be tolerated. There was a sense of victory after the general strike, but there was also a sense of being under, deeper attack.
As the movement has proven perhaps to be have greater staying power than some might have hoped, that the police tactics become more and more aggressive. So we've had this entire effort to repress the Occupy movement in Oakland. Perhaps authorities look at Oakland as their test tube for launching attacks on people's efforts. But whether that's explicit or not, I can't say, but it certainly looks that way to me.
Ever since a few Fridays ago, when the city was trying to erase the Occupy chalk and nowhere else, in fact there was poo and pee, but they wouldn't clean it, they only wanted to clean chalk. So we decided to come back every week and create another beautiful thing for them to clean. So the first week was an anonymous mask, then there was a little police brutality badge protest, and this is a TP, a little more love and light than last week.
No, it hasn't gone underground, and it's not dead because everybody's working on their own things and working at different levels, because people have had different experiences with American culture are working from different places. Some people aren't as desperate or haven't been hurt as bad or haven't had as much police brutality in their lives, and so, everybody's working at different levels. Some people are focusing on fighting the cops, some people are looking at reclaiming an opening space, and now we're talking about occupying the food system, and I think that folks in Venezuela might have something to teach us about that. But, it's not underground at all. Everyone's right here and working on what they're working on. It's like a many-headed serpent that's gone underwater. It's going to pop back up. Come spring, good warriors rest in the winter.
Primero vamos a dejarles saber a Fannie Mae que nosotros necesitamos nuestras casas más que ellos las necesitan. Así que quiero que lo repitan conmigo. Fannie Mae. Necesitamos nuestras casas. Más que ustedes. Y ahora va a venir a nuestra compañera Margarita Ramírez para contarnos un poco de su experiencia.
Okay, so I want you to welcome Margarita by letting her know that we need our homes more than Fannie Mae needs one more. So can I get a mic check? We need our homes more than Fannie Mae needs one more.
Mi nombre es Margarita Ramírez, yo soy miembro de Casa Justa, Jessica. Usted solamente me lo pasa cuando quiere que traduzca. Y ahora estamos aquí luchando por nuestra vivienda, que regrese a nuestra casa. Hi everyone, my name is Margarita Ramirez. I'm a member with Causa Justa Just Cause, and I'm here fighting for my home, fighting to have my home given back to me.
Por eso estamos aquí ahora, para ocupar las casas que Fannie Mae son los dueños hasta que nos regresen nuestra vivienda.
We want to know why Fannie Mae has taken our home and they won't give it back. That is why we're here today to reoccupy Fannie Mae owned homes until they give us our home back.
Bueno, bueno, esa es mi historia y gracias a todos y gracias por apoyarme.
So that's my story. Thank you so much, all of you who are here. Thank you all so much for supporting my fight.
Give it up again for the Ramirez family. Let's show them some love and support. We're in solidarity with you. Yes. So we're going to try a little chant to get our energy going. Let folks know all around here that we're out here. When I say, what do we want? You're going to say, our homes. What do we want? Our homes. What do we want? Our homes. And then when I say, when do we want them? We say now. Okay, when do we want them? Now. What do we want? Our homes. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Our homes. When do we want them? Now. What do we want? Our homes. When do we want them? Now. What do we want? Our homes. When do we want them? Now. All right, all right. So there's been so many organizations and folks that have been supporting this foreclosure movement. Just Causa Justa has been one of the organizations, many organizations out there on the forefront that have been taking over spots, occupying spots. Even prior to the occupation movement, Occupy Wall Street, Occupy Oakland. And we want to say that as somebody who's part of Occupy Oakland, that we, of course, totally support this.
And I'm here with Thaddeus, and I want to just invite him to say a word about Occupy Oakland and the Action Committee.
How you doing? For those that don't know who I am or recognize me, my name is Thaddeus Guidry. I'm from the Tactical Action Committee, part of Occupy Oakland. Our group. Thank you. Our group are responsible for the action against foreclosure on 18th and Leonard. So if you heard about it or you was a part of the 18th and Leonard thing, that was me and my fellow friends that took over that spot. And today, I hope that we can be more successful at coming together and making sure this is more organized and more in control of the situation than it was last time.
Ok, entonces vamos a empezar la marcha, así que si todos siguen los carteles, vamos a asegurar que todo esto esté seguro y tenemos que recordar que nosotros necesitamos nuestras casas más que Fannie Mae. No hay ninguna razón, no hay ninguna excusa por qué haya vivienda vacía cuando nuestra comunidad no tiene lugares donde vivir.
All right. Fired up here.
What do we want?
Yeah.
Our homes. Remember that chant, guys? Yeah. Refresher course. All right. What do we want? Our homes. When do we want them?
This is a group called the Foreclosure Defense Group that was initially formed out of Occupy Oakland. It formed in response to this attack on homeowners by the banks. We participated in tandem with some other housing activists initially in opening up a home which had been taken from a woman in West Oakland and evicted her with like 10 minutes notice. We went back in December and initiated a home defense with other community activists. This is kind of the precursor to our formal formation as a group. Through various fights, we call them fights, these distinct homes or buildings or homeowners that we work in tandem with. We do other work that's more generalized or agitational or educational, self-educational as well, and coalition work. But we've had about 4 or 5 fights of like where we will commit to a homeowner and develop a working relationship and basically draw a line in front of the home and then take on this fight and principal responsibility along with the homeowner. And we've won every single one we've done so far. This will be our 5th, I believe. Which tells me we need to be reaching for more, We're winning, we know what we know, and we're winning what we're trying, so we need to reach harder and further.
Oakland is the people's town.
If you got a bike, you can put your bike in the back yard.
Get out the way, banks, get out the way. Woo! Banks, get out the way. Get out the way, banks, get out the way. Some hamburgers and some hot dogs.
Feed the people.
So today at 4 o'clock, we're going to start to do Know Your Rights for Tenants workshops out of our newly new town that was Fannie Mae, but is now the People's. Okay.
Part of what our organization came together for, right, in the first place was to build Black and Brown unity. The people needed it, right? The movement needed it. You know, people needed to have a organization where folks came together and really did try to figure out like the political questions around like how to actually build a functional Black and Latino unity, right? That was going to be able to address some of the shared problems that both nations face, and hopefully we can learn from the new tactics that the Occupy movement has developed, and hopefully we can provide some helpful critiques. So hopefully, you know, we can show them some of like the tactics that have been useful to us.
Jody is the homeowner. She's been here for 15 years, this house. She has been in court for a couple years with Morgan Stanley. She didn't know she was in court with Morgan Stanley. She was in court with these front groups under different names. So she was fighting to save her home on this front until her lawyer actually had referred her to us, because all their solutions with their legal system were spent. Her lawyer actually recommended that she call, you know, Occupy Oakland, which was us, you know, the hotline. So 18 days before the moving truck was scheduled to show up and take all her belongings, she called us, and we quickly reviewed her case, did research, and mounted a last-ditch eviction defense, an occupation of the home, in about 2.5 weeks, and initiated a campaign of pressure, you know, against the bank the day before Election Day here in the States.
Occupy then becomes an opportunity for us working on things like gang injunctions, working on things like police brutality, working on things like gentrification, working on things like the school shutting down. For us to use this takeover as our leverage, our new, you know, step up our game on our leverage. And again, like I said, people are saying you're diluting the issues. This has nothing to do with, you know, Occupy Wall Street. And yeah, basically, on a lot of levels and fronts, it was like a wasted opportunity to really get some serious wins for the city of Oakland and the people who live here, who've been living here, not who just showed up to Occupy. Where's the ball? Over there. Just use, don't put that in there. Just eat out of the pot, because there's a that which here's coconut milk.
Pass me the honey and the chocolate, please.
The takeaway is, like I said, that local organizations upped the ante and kind of redeveloped a new spirit of militancy, and they're still doing this. That you still have local folks, you know, taking over properties to this day. You know, many of the committees and caucuses are still around and doing really legitimate work. You know, like Occupy the Hood became Roots, which still is doing land grabs, is still doing stuff, feeding people.
Particularly, we focus on urban communities, folks who haven't traditionally seen themselves as on the front lines of the ecological crisis, but are, in fact, are, precisely because the same things that make people poor and the same things that make people job insecure and food insecure and housing insecure, the same things that are screwing up the atmosphere and polluting our waters and destroying biodiversity and cultural diversity on this planet. A group of folks who, many of whom came out of the University of California and and were students of agroecology and some folks who were emerging in the Occupy Oakland scene got together and were kind of imagining something different, the next stage, if you will, for Occupy. And others of us at the same time had also been doing the same thing. And for us, myself, very early on, I sort of realized that the occupation of public space, the creation of high-density public parks was not a strategy that we could maintain for very long. And that the challenge of governing a space like that, who were part of Occupy the Farm, came to work and took pride in working hard and contributing to a larger community, and that there was a role for everyone.
Remind me of your name again?
Cliff.
Hi, Cliff.
Hey.
Amanda.
Yeah.
So, what's new, Cliff?
Well, let's see. So, yeah, I just so here we left Occupy Oakland.
About
here we
months ago.
Yeah. And so how did you get? Tell me a little bit about the road from Occupy Oakland to Occupy the Farm.
It was a really cool little story. Some friends of mine and I, a woman came down to the day you interviewed me, came down to the plaza and told a friend of mine that she knew about this empty apartment building that was kind of blighting her neighborhood, but she wanted to garden the yard. And so as it turned out, my friend told me and a few of us, and we all moved into this Bank of America owned apartment complex, and we occupied 3 of the 4 units in the complex, and we took the yard, we dismantled the yard, made a garden out of it between the neighbor's house and ours, took down the fence, and kind of built a housing cooperative up. Right now we're still occupying the building. We have not gotten a legal eviction. They know we're there, and that's been 7 months. So quite honestly, after as traumatizing as Occupy Oakland was, I pretty much holed up in a ball, smoked cigarettes, and gardened for about 5 months there, and I guess was recouping for this. And Occupy the Farm was coming up, and I stayed out of the planning on purpose so I wouldn't be so attached at how it came out. But I've been a career organic farmer, so this was right up my alley.
So we're 9 adults and 8 kids that live here together, and then we have great neighbors next door, so we popped a hole in the fence and they moved back and forth, and we got our friends to move in next door also. So there's an up-down house there, and then there's an up-down here, and we completely rebuilt this house. We lifted it, moved it, gutted it, demolished a third of it, and rebuilt it so we could have a common space where we could all have our meetings and community meetings and dinners and stuff together and socializing. We have like 20 plus fruit trees here, 2 avocado trees, apples, pears, persimmon, peach, pomegranate, kiwi, oranges, lemons, and then we also have artichokes and passion fruit, apricot. We've ripped some sidewalk out and put in olives. So it's just a nice, and and we have chickens as well. It's a little urban oasis. So,
you have chickens?
Yeah, we have chickens over here. This is the chicken coop I built. A lot of fun. Put in a church window on our chicken coop. So there's our chickens. Usually they get out every day. Right now they're just getting ready to go to bed. It's great. We raise our families together. And
for me, Occupy Oakland was really fascinating that I saw the birth of so many leaders and organizers. People who would never thought about going out to a political rally or a protest suddenly became the organizers of those rallies and protests.
If we can speak about the post-Occupy environment, which we're in now, I think there are much higher level of activity than it was 2 years ago. There's any number of new networks and relationships built, on the order of thousands, even within this town. The depth of critique is much higher, and in addition to like the level of conflict and difficulty, because we're finally coming to grips with many of the problems that were repressed or put into the background or never had the forum or space to be addressed whatsoever.
Occupy to me is a tactical frame. It's about one tactic, one thing that we do. Take Back actually combines both a tactical frame and a certain strategic frame. It begs the question, take back from whom, by whom, for whom, right? And to me, the strategic question is, what tools do we use at what times? And so part of that for me is like, I was kind of catching this progressive, radical, revolutionary divide. It's like, I'm not sure exactly what people mean by that, but like, if people think that I'm a progressive because I want my kids to be able to come here whenever they want, like, we built that slide to make the point that the fence is no more relevant today than it was on the 22nd, when hundreds of people walked through here and didn't think twice about it. And hundreds of people since then walked through here and didn't think twice about it because we did the work of making the fence irrelevant, right? And so now we have to find new ways to make the fence irrelevant. So we put a slide in, and we're going to put a staircase in, and we'll build a beautiful gate that says welcome, and then we'll take out that chunk. And every day that we do that, the university is going to have to figure out another way to keep us out. And every day it's the opportunity for new direct action to assert our right to tend our labor, which is those crops. Yeah. And that to me is where food sovereignty, that's the food sovereignty. The food sovereignty is not the camp. The food sovereignty is not the negotiations with the UC, and the food sovereignty is not even about like which 200 families get served by the food in the end, right? I think that's important. I'm not saying it's not important, but this isn't going to feed us. This is about transforming the way we think about land and our relationship to land in the urban context. And so that to me is like the kind of key piece. And to that end, the last thing I'll say, and then I'll get off my high horse, is like, when people ask me what we can, anywhere, people ask me from all over the country, what can we do to support you? And my first answer is, take more land. We took 5 acres, what the hell are you doing? Take more land. Because diversity is our best defense. It's the rule of nature, and it's the rule of social movements. So if this isn't working for you for some reason, take more land. Like, we're not divided. We're not divided. We're diverse. Like, it's okay for us to have difference and find what we need and make it. But like, this is what this group is making, right? And like, we want to bring more and more people in, right? Like, my rule is if I can't bring my kids, I'm not coming back. That's why we have a slide, right? So, but we need to figure, I just want to get us to be like, it's not about just this, it's about what this can be if everybody just like steps into the moment. Like, let's get, we're always on our heels. Let's like step into the moment.
Thought you knew we represented 99% it. That's where we headed. It's much like Armageddon for the capitalist system. So that's how we do. Get rid of them. We did some. And man, Juan needs to go home quick. Choose off some stupid type of Ron Dellum shit. Put their head in the back and ain't even ready. Just for Oscar Grant. We keep this shit steady. So yo, voila, we need to get a boss. All these politicians, yo, they're way off. So yo, we throw a Molotov. If you really want to do that, watch out for bug contours. They're here. Thought you knew that. Check out. Fire! I still burn on the government. If nothing changed, man, my people ain't loving it. Fire! In this revelation time, fire still blazing hot. Rebellion, they call a riot. Well, it's fire. I still blaze on the government. Nothing changed, man, my people ain't loving it. Fire! In this revelation time, fire still blazing hot. They call a riot. And yo, when I say fire, you say burn down. Fire! Fire! When I say burn down, you say Wall Street burn down. Wall Street burn down. Wall Street. I say the town, you say applies the town. The town. When I say liberate, you say decolonize. Liberate. Decolonize. Liberate. Decolonize. Occupy Oakland like a mug.